أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
And establish prayer and give zakah and bow with those who bow in worship and obedience. And establish prayer and give zakah, and whatever good you put forward for yourselves, you will find it with Allah. Indeed, Allah of what you do is seeing. Righteousness is not that you turn your faces toward the east or the west, but true righteousness is in one who believes in Allah, the last day, the angels, the book, and the prophets, and gives wealth, in spite of love for it, to relatives, orphans, the needy, the traveler, those who ask for help and for freeing slaves, and who establishes prayer and gives zakah, those who fulfill their promise when they promise, and those who are patient in poverty and hardship and during battle. Those are the ones who have been true, and it is those who are the righteous. They ask you, O Muhammad, what they should spend. Say, whatever you spend of good is to be for parents and relatives and orphans and the needy and the traveler. And whatever you do of good, indeed Allah is knowing of it. They ask you about wine and gambling. Say, in them is great sin, and yet some benefit for people, but their sin is greater than their benefit. And they ask you what they should spend. Say, the excess beyond needs. Thus Allah makes it clear to you the verses of revelation that you might give thought. Those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah and then do not follow up what they have spent with reminders of it or other injury will have their reward with their Lord, and there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve. Kind speech and forgiveness are better than charity followed by injury, and Allah is free of need and forbearing. O you who have believed, do not invalidate your charities with reminders or injury, as does one who spends his wealth only to be seen by the people and does not believe in Allah and the last day. His example is like that of a large smooth stone upon which is dust and is hit by a downpour that leaves it bare. They are unable to keep anything of what they have earned, and Allah does not guide the disbelieving people. If you disclose your charitable expenditures, they are good. But if you conceal them and give them to the poor, it is better for you, and He will remove from you some of your misdeeds thereby. And Allah, with what you do, is fully acquainted. Not upon you, O Muhammad, is responsibility for their guidance, but Allah guides whom He wills. And whatever good you believers spend is for yourselves, and you do not spend except seeking the countenance of Allah. And whatever you spend of good, it will be fully repaid to you, and you will not be wronged. Charity is for the poor who have been restricted for the cause of Allah, unable to move about in the land. An ignorant person would think them self-sufficient because of their restraint, but you will know them by their characteristic sign. They do not ask people persistently or at all, and whatever you spend of good, indeed, Allah is knowing of it. Those who spend their wealth in Allah's way by night and by day, secretly and publicly, they will have their reward with their Lord. And no fear will there be concerning them, nor will they grieve. Indeed, those who believe and do righteous deeds and establish prayer and give zakah will have their reward with their Lord, and there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve. Never will you attain the good reward until you spend in the way of Allah from that which you love, and whatever you spend, indeed Allah is knowing of it. Who spend in the cause of Allah during ease and hardship, and who restrain anger and who pardon the people, and Allah loves the doers of good. And let not those who greedily withhold what Allah has given them of His bounty ever think that it is better for them. Rather, it is worse for them. Their necks will be encircled by what they withheld on the day of resurrection. And to Allah belongs the heritage of the heavens and the earth, and Allah, with what you do, is fully acquainted. Who are stingy and enjoin upon other people stinginess and conceal what Allah has given them of His bounty, and we have prepared for the disbelievers a humiliating punishment. And also those who spend of their wealth to be seen by the people and believe not in Allah nor in the last day. And he to whom Satan is a companion, then evil is he as a companion. And what harm would come upon them if they believed in Allah and the last day and spent out of what Allah provided for them? And Allah is ever about them knowing. And Allah had already taken a covenant from the children of Israel, and we delegated from among them 12 leaders. And Allah said, I am with you. If you establish prayer and give zakah and believe in my messengers and support them and loan Allah a goodly loan, I will surely remove from you your misdeeds and admit you to gardens beneath which rivers flow. But whoever of you disbelieves after that has certainly strayed from the soundness of the way. Your ally is none but Allah, and therefore His messenger and those who have believed, those who establish prayer and give zakah, and they bow in worship. And when the sacred months have passed, then kill the polytheists wherever you find them, and capture them and besiege them and sit in wait for them at every place of ambush. But if they should repent, establish prayer, and give zakah, let them go on their way. Indeed, Allah is forgiving and merciful. The mosques of Allah are only to be maintained by those who believe in Allah and the last day and establish prayer and give zakah, and do not fear except Allah, for it is expected that those will be of the rightly guided. And among them are some who criticize you concerning the distribution of charities. If they are given from them, they approve, but if they are not given from them, at once they become angry. Zakah expenditures are only for the poor and for the needy, and for those employed to collect zakah, and for bringing hearts together for Islam, and for freeing captives or slaves, and for those in debt, and for the cause of Allah, and for the stranded traveler, an obligation imposed by Allah. And Allah is knowing and wise. The believing men and believing women are allies of one another. They enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong, and establish prayer and give zakah, and obey Allah and His Messenger. Those, Allah will have mercy upon them. Indeed, Allah is exalted in might and wise. But when He gave them from His bounty, they were stingy with it and turned away while they refused. Nor do they spend an expenditure, small or large, or cross a valley, but that it is registered for them, that Allah may reward them for the best of what they were doing. And Allah has favored some of you over others in provision. But those who were favored would not hand over their provision to those whom their right hands possess, so they would be equal to them therein. Then is it the favor of Allah they reject? And we made them leaders, guiding by our command. And we inspired to them the doing of good deeds, establishment of prayer, and giving of zakah, and they were worshippers of us. And the camels and cattle we have appointed for you as among the symbols of Allah. For you therein is good. So mention the name of Allah upon them when lined up for sacrifice. And when they are lifeless on their sides, then eat from them and feed the needy and the beggar. Thus have we subjected them to you that you may be grateful. And they are those who, if we give them authority in the land, establish prayer and give zakah and enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong. And to Allah belongs the outcome of all matters. And strive for Allah with the striving due to Him. He has chosen you and has not placed upon you in the religion any difficulty. It is the religion of your father, Abraham. Allah named you Muslims before in former scriptures, and in this revelation that the messenger may be a witness over you, and you may be witnesses over the people. So establish prayer and give zakah and hold fast to Allah. He is your protector, and excellent is the protector, and excellent is the helper. Are men whom neither commerce nor sale distracts from the remembrance of Allah and performance of prayer and giving of zakah. They fear a day in which the hearts and eyes will fearfully turn about. There is not upon the blind any guilt, nor upon the lame any guilt, nor upon the ill any guilt, nor upon yourselves if you eat from your own houses, or the houses of your fathers, or the houses of your mothers, or the houses of your brothers, or the houses of your sisters, or the houses of your father's brothers, or the houses of your father's sisters, or the houses of your mother's brothers, or the houses of your mother's sisters, or from houses whose keys you possess, or from the house of your friend. There is no blame upon you whether you eat together or separately. But when you enter houses, give greetings of peace upon each other, a greeting from Allah, blessed and good. Thus does Allah make clear to you the verses of ordinance, that you may understand. And they are those who, when they spend, do so not excessively or sparingly, but are ever between that justly moderate, who establish prayer and give zakah, and of the hereafter they are certain in faith. So give the relative his right, as well as the needy and the traveler. That is best for those who desire the countenance of Allah, and it is they who will be the successful. And whatever you give for interest to increase within the wealth of people will not increase with Allah. But what you give in zakah, desiring the countenance of Allah, those are the multipliers. Who establish prayer and give zakah, and they of the hereafter are certain in faith. And when it is said to them, spend from that which Allah has provided for you, those who disbelieve say to those who believe, should we feed one whom, if Allah had willed, He would have fed? You are not but in clear error. Those who do not give zakah, and in the hereafter they are disbelievers. This worldly life is only amusement and diversion, and if you believe and fear Allah, He will give you your rewards and not ask you for your properties. If He should ask you for them and press you, you would withhold, and He would expose your unwillingness. Here you are, those invited to spend in the cause of Allah, but among you are those who withhold out of greed, and whoever withholds only withholds benefit from himself, and Allah is the free of need, while you are the needy. And if you turn away, He will replace you with another people, then they will not be the likes of you. From their properties was given the right of the needy petitioner and the deprived. Or do you, O Muhammad, ask of them a payment, so they are by debt burdened down? Believe in Allah and His Messenger, and spend out of that in which He has made you successors. For those who have believed among you and spent, there will be a great reward. Who is it that would loan Allah a goodly loan, so He will multiply it for him, and he will have a noble reward? On the day you see the believing men and believing women, their light proceeding before them and on their right, it will be said, your good tidings today are of gardens beneath which rivers flow, wherein you will abide eternally. That is what is the great attainment. Those who are stingy and enjoin upon people stinginess, and whoever turns away, then indeed Allah is the free of need, the praiseworthy. Have you feared to present before your consultation charities? Then when you do not, and Allah has forgiven you, then at least establish prayer and give zakah, and obey Allah and His Messenger. And Allah is acquainted with what you do. And spend in the way of Allah from what we have provided you before death approaches one of you, and he says, my Lord, if only you would delay me for a brief term, so I would give charity and be among the righteous. So fear Allah as much as you are able, and listen and obey and spend in the way of Allah. It is better for yourselves. And whoever is protected from the stinginess of his soul, it is those who will be the successful. If you loan Allah a goodly loan, He will multiply it for you and forgive you, and Allah is most appreciative and forbearing. Indeed, your Lord knows, O Muhammad, that you stand in prayer almost 2/3 of the night, or half of it, or 1/3 of it, and so do a group of those with you. And Allah determines the extent of the night and the day. He has known that you Muslims will not be able to do it, and has turned to you in forgiveness. So recite what is easy for you of the Quran. He has known that there will be among you those who are ill and others traveling throughout the land, seeking something of the bounty of Allah, and others fighting for the cause of Allah. So recite what is easy from it, and establish prayer, and give zakah, and loan Allah a goodly loan. And whatever good you put forward for yourselves, you will find it with Allah. It is better and greater in reward. And seek forgiveness of Allah. Indeed, Allah is forgiving and merciful. And they give food in spite of love for it to the needy, the orphan and the captive. And you do not encourage one another to feed the poor. As for he who withholds and considers himself free of need, he who gives from his wealth to purify himself, and not giving for anyone who has done him a favor to be rewarded. And they were not commanded except to worship Allah, being sincere to Him in religion, inclining to truth, and to establish prayer and to give zakah, and that is the correct religion. And does not encourage the feeding of the poor, and withhold simple assistance.